Hey everybody, Henry here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out some insane Master League Spice battles featuring an XL level 50 shiny BISHARP. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, BISHARP is a Steel and Dark type Pokemon with the moveset of Snarl, Dark Pulse, and Iron Head. And this trainer pairs it up with a Togekiss on the lead and a Dragonite in the back. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL BISHARP in action in the Master League. Hopping into the first match, picking up an incredibly good lead, Togekiss into Groudon. Regardless of what fast move Groudon is running, this is a nice matchup for Togekiss, and this Groudon is running Mud Shot. With Mud Shot, they'll be able to spam out these Fire Punches pretty quickly, and they're going to save switch into their own Togekiss. Now this is a bit scary, as Togekiss would absolutely shred the backline. Ancient Power does get the shield, but Togekiss gets the boost. Let's go. These charms now dealing extra damage. Togekiss is going to commit the shield and look to try and farm down. Ancient Power does get shielded. Togekiss able to farm down the opponent and leave with very little HP. In comes Groudon. Togekiss is going to fire off a boosted Ancient Power. Opponent commits the shield. Groudon looking to try and Mud Shot down a boosted Togekiss. That is never going to happen. In the back, they have Giratina, and Giratina is in a world of pain against BISHARP. BISHARP farming up, going for the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse, big damage onto the Giratina. Giratina did farm up a ton of energy. BISHARP is going to commit the shield. Opponent goes for the Dragon Pulse. BISHARP is going to commit that shield and fire off Dark Pulse number 2. This Dark Pulse will be taking out the Giratina, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, leading Togekiss into Tyranitar. This depends on Tyranitar's moveset, and Tyranitar is running Smackdown. These Smackdowns are adding up quite a bit. T-Tar is going to fire off a charge move before it gets taken out. We do see a shield from the Togekiss. They go for the crunch, and they're going to save switch into a Waterfall Gyarados. And Waterfall Gyarados is, of course, going to be met with Dragonite. Dragonite, an incredibly good counter to Waterfall Gyarados. They go for the crunch. That is just not going to be doing a ton of damage. And Dragonite is going to return fire with the Dragon Claw. This Dragon Claw will get them quite low. Opponent is going to commit the shield, fire off another charge move, and Dragonite, again, does not have to shield this. Dragonite is going to let that through. It is just the Aqua Tail. Dragonite is able to get the full farm down and leave with a nice amount of energy. This way, if the opponent does choose to bring in that Tyranitar, Dragonite will be able to hit back. In the back, the opponent has Mewtwo. They try and go for a catch onto T-Tar, and this Mewtwo is definitely not going to appreciate this BISHARP. Dragon Claw gets the shield, switch into BISHARP, and the opponent is going to fire off a charge move. It is just a Psy Strike, but BISHARP in a great position to finish off this match, will be able to reach the Dark Pulse. Is this going to be enough to KO? Dark Pulse taking down the Mewtwo and securing the win. Absolute dream lead in the next match, Togekiss into Dragonite. Opponent will need to immediately save switch out of this matchup, and they do into a Metagross. Metagross is going to be met with BISHARP. BISHARP is able to hit for massive super effective damage with Dark Pulse, but has to be mindful of an Earthquake. Dark Pulse is going to get the Metagross low. Metagross will farm up a ton of energy here, and this is enough for the Earthquake. Metagross goes just for a Meteor Mash. They are not able to reach a second charge move, as BISHARP is able to farm down. Back in comes Dragonite. BISHARP gonna fire off a Dark Pulse. This Dark Pulse will do some chip damage onto the Dragonite. BISHARP continues to farm. Dragonite is able to reach a charge move here. BISHARP, he's going to commit the shield. Could have let it go, but instead trying to feature BISHARP, so may as well commit the shield. Dark Pulse gets the shield. BISHARP continues to farm, trying to get to another Dark Pulse, but gets outpaced by the Dragonite. Dragonite is, of course, going to be met with the Togekiss as soon as that move goes through. And in the back, the opponent has Swampert. Aggressive switch into the Dragonite and able to catch a Hydro Cannon. That is massive. Swampert in a world of pain in this matchup, even despite a shield advantage. This is a very tough spot to be in, as they're forced to go for resisted Hydro Cannons. Dragonite will go for the Dragon Claw. This Dragon Claw doesn't do a ton of damage, but will threaten to farm down afterwards, so the opponent is forced to burn that final shield. They're going to continue to spam out these Hydro Cannons, Mud Shot generating energy very quickly, but this is just an overwhelmingly positive matchup for Dragonite. Dragonite is going to fire off this Dragon Claw. That will be taken out the Swampert. Back in comes the opposing Dragonite. They get Dragon Claw down, and that is a good game. Great lead in the next match, Togekiss into Zekrom. Opponent is going to save switch into a Confusion Mewtwo, which is going to be met with the BISHARP. Mewtwo definitely preferred to run Psycho Cut, as Confusion, unfortunately, just doesn't generate energy nearly as quickly. BISHARP farming up and is going to go for the Dark Pulse. This Dark Pulse is going to get the shield as the opponent is going to try and reach another charge move, but not before BISHARP. BISHARP charging up these moves incredibly quickly with Snarl. They're at another charge move. Decision time for the BISHARP. I'll be honest, I don't really know confusion counts. It ends up being a Shadow Ball. BISHARP will be able to take out the Mewtwo, winning switch advantage and shield advantage. The opponent probably going to be sending back in the Zekrom. Zekrom is going to look for the farm down. BISHARP only going to get to one charge move here, as they will get a full farm down and will probably leave pretty close to a wild charge. BISHARP may actually get there, but unfortunately falls just short. They're going to fire off this wild charge. The charm does go through, so the Zekrom will be taken out. We'll have to see what they have in the back, and they're running ABA Dragon with Palkia, and that is a good game. The Dragon leads continue in the next match, Togekiss into Garchomp. You love to see it. Opponent is going to save switch into another Mewtwo, which of course will be met with BISHARP. Mewtwo farming up to the Focus Blast, but not before BISHARP reaches the Dark Pulse. Opponent has to shield if they want to get off the charge move. They do not, and they get taken out. Back in comes Garchomp. They're running Mud Shot, and this should be a Sand Tomb. BISHARP decides to commit the shield, and shielding a Sand Tomb, always a bit of an unfortunate situation to be in. Could have let the move through and instead just let Togekiss take it out, but since he is running BISHARP, he is going to try and get the most out of this BISHARP. BISHARP is going to double shield Sand Tombs. BISHARP continuing to farm up and going for another Dark Pulse. This will barely not KO, but now, if there is a hard counter to the Togekiss in the back, things could get a bit tricky since the opponent does have 2 shields remaining. This Sand Tomb is going to KO. In comes the Togekiss. Togekiss takes out the Garchomp. In the back, they have Shadow Metagross. And this is suddenly looking very scary. Going for the Ancient Power. Honestly, kind of needs an Ancient Power boost here. Ancient Power is going to get the shield. We do not see the boost come through. Metagross is going to get a full farm down of the Togekiss. And this, unfortunately, is looking like game over, as this Shadow Metagross just has to reach the back-to-back Meteor Mashes. First one is going to get the Dragonite low. Second one is going to take out the Dragonite as well. 2-shield BISHARP was able to get the Garchomp low, but the Metagross sweeps in the back. Decent lead in the next match, Togekiss into Dialga. Togekiss does have a pretty nice matchup here, but will of course have to be mindful of a potential Iron Head. Dialga will go for the Iron Head. Iron Head would hurt, so we are going to see Togekiss commit the shield. Togekiss is going to go for the Ancient Power here. Ancient Power won't KO, but can of course hunt for a boost. Ancient Power gets the Dialga low, aggressive switch into Dragonite, and Dragonite gets the farm down. Thankfully, there is no Fairy type in the back awaiting the Dragonite save switch as the opponent sends in Mewtwo. Dragonclaw is going to get the shield. Mewtwo continues to farm. Mewtwo does have a decent amount of energy here. Dragonite is going to let this through. Mewtwo goes for the Shadow Ball, and this very well could be a single move Shadow Ball Mewtwo, as in neutral situations you do want to go for the Psystrike. Dragonclaw is going to get the second shield. Mewtwo continuing to farm, and they decide not to go for the farm down. Mewtwo is going to fire off a charge move. Looks like it is going to be a single move Shadow Ball Mewtwo. In comes BISHARP. Mewtwo is going to reach a last second charge move, probably just the Shadow Ball. BISHARP is going to commit the shield and get the farm down. In the back, the opponent has a Dragon Tail Groudon, and Groudon is going to continue to farm. BISHARP at 100 energy is going to start firing off these Dark Pulses. Dark Pulse number 1 is going to get the Groudon below half health, going for Dark Pulse number 2. This Dark Pulse gets Groudon deep into the red. Groudon on very low HP reaches the last second charge move. No matter what they throw here, the game's over. They full send the Earthquake. They get charmed down by Togekiss, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, picking up a slightly negative lead, Togekiss into Mewtwo. Gonna stay in this matchup to start, as Mewtwo is going to fire off a charge move. This Psystrike is definitely going to hurt. Psystrike does quite a bit of damage, and we see a save switch into BISHARP. BISHARP continuing to farm, goes for the Dark Pulse, but a catch onto Melmetal. Dark Pulse is going to grab a shield from Melmetal. Honestly, a bit surprising, as Melmetal would tank a Dark Pulse with relative ease. Melmetal continues to farm. BISHARP firing off Dark Pulse number 2. Melmetal double shielding, maybe unfamiliar with Bisharp's counts and expecting a Focus Blast. Bisharp is going to shield a potential superpower, but gets baited with a Rock Slide. This is enough for another superpower. Bisharp is going to let it through and successfully calls the Rock Slide bait. That is quite nice. Bisharp will fire off the Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is going to do some solid chip damage, but again, not enough to KO the Melmetal. Melmetal probably just going to go straight Rock Slide from here on out, as they are going to fire off the Rock Slide. Rock Slide is going to get the shield. Bisharp will be able to get the Melmetal low with the Dark Pulse, but Melmetal will barely be able to hang on and reach a last second charge move. Melmetal will finally go for the superpower. Superpower KOs, and they get charmed down by the Togekiss. Mewtwo has a ton of energy, and they're going to start using it, firing off this Psystrike. Psystrike is going to KO. In comes Dragonite. Dragonite will get outpaced here by Mewtwo, as Mewtwo is able to reach a Psystrike. Psystrike will do quite a bit of damage onto the Dragonite. Dragonite maybe had to try and farm down. Obviously, we don't know what is in the back there, but fires off the charge move in the back. It's a Garchomp, and Garchomp will be able to Dragon Tail down. Same leads in the next match, Togekiss into another Mewtwo. As we saw in that previous game, Mewtwo lead definitely a bit awkward for this team. Togekiss is going to farm up some energy, and Mewtwo is going to fire off their first charge move. This time we do see Togekiss commit a shield. Togekiss is going to continue to farm, switch, and make a catch onto Bisharp. Very nicely done. Mewtwo actually went for a Shadow Ball there. Definitely not the move you want to go for in that situation, and the opponent is going to send in a Dragon Tail Groudon. Dark Pulse gets a shield from the Groudon. Groudon continuing to overfarm here. Bisharp able to reach another Dark Pulse, as the Groudon seems perfectly happy to overfarm on energy. Groudon is going to double shield. Groudon looking to farm all the way down, and they do so, but that energy is not going to be particularly useful going up against the two flying types. Fire Punch, not going to be doing a lot, and we do see the charm go through, as they're going to fire off Fire Punch number 2. That Fire Punch, Togekiss able to tank it perfectly fine. Opponent is going to send in a Machamp, and Machamp is about to get absolutely crushed. These charms will do a lot of damage, and so will the Flamethrower. Opponent sends back in Mewtwo. Mewtwo gets taken out. In comes the Groudon, and Groudon will be hit with the Flamethrower. Flamethrower takes out the Groudon, and Togekiss clutches the win. Hopping into the final match, picking up a Nightmare lead, Togekiss into Mamoswine. This team is ABA weak to Ice, and Bulldoze can hit Bisharp for super effective damage as well. Togekiss farms up a switch into Bisharp. Mamoswine has so much loaded energy here. Decision time. Bisharp commits the shield at the last second and shields an Avalanche. Bisharp is going to fire off the Iron Head here. Iron Head will, of course, easily KO, so Mamoswine is going to commit the shield. This is enough for a Bulldoze. Bisharp calls the bait, gets hit with a Bulldoze, and it gets taken out. Back in comes Togekiss. Togekiss is able to get the farm down, which is big. Opponent is going to send in their Dialga, and Togekiss is going straight for the Flamethrower. This Flamethrower will do quite a bit of damage if it lands. Opponent is going to commit the shield. We see a simultaneous switch. Opponent running a Confusion Mewtwo. Confusion Mewtwo appears to be the flavor of the day. Definitely Psycho Cut is going to be a big improvement in that regard. Mewtwo able to reach a last second charge move. We're going to see Dragonite commit the shield, farm down, and try and reach the superpower versus the Dialga. Opponent is going to send in the Dialga. Dragonite reaches the superpower. Superpower taking out the Dialga, and that is a good game. All in all, some very fun Spice battles in the Master League, featuring a Pokemon that I have never ever seen used in the Master League before, level 50 Bisharp. Now, Bisharp, only maxing a bit over 3000 CP, definitely gets outbulked by a lot of the Master League Pokemon, so it's definitely more of a pick for fun than for climbing, but to see a trainer use it and have some success with it is pretty fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been Home Slice Henry.